Hey guys, I'm Erica Parker. Welcome to my Facebook Live where we kind of talk about how to get started in actual buying rental properties. So just to give you a little background on myself, I actually started out as a real estate investor. So I've been doing it for 3.5 years. I have 7 doors currently, as well as I do some fix and flips and everything else. So I also have invested in a couple of very high quality real estate education and investing groups as well. So I am very well versed in how to look at rental properties and how to figure out your strategy and help those people identify what their long-term goals are and how to really focus in on what sort of rental properties are best for them. So that is me. I'm your queen of real estate, and just to go into a little bit about why this is important is there's a lot of people out there looking to diversify out of stocks and bonds. As you've seen, there's a lot of private equity that are now investing in real estate as well. There is a lot of people that are looking into retirement and possibly finding some passive income that way. So there's lots of reasons why it should be important to you, especially even those that are young and are thinking about retirement in the future, finding out what you want to look for, if it's building wealth for a long term or if it's building up your cash flow. So definitely we're going to talk about that, but also to go into kind of what we're going to go over. So we're going to talk about the why. We're going to talk about the 4 different monetary ways that you can make money on your rental properties. Then we're going to go into a little bit about the determining your overall goals and why that's important, and then how to get loans for these properties, how to look at limiting your liability for those properties, how to choose a realtor or find these properties, and finally, how to really make it passive in your income. So it's a lot to cover. We're going to go really quickly because it is a 5-minute fix. So thank you guys for joining me. So first of all, the 4 different ways you can make money on a rental property, on one rental property, is first cash flow. Most people know about cash flow. They're going to be making that money that's on top of the payment of the mortgage. So that money that comes out of on top of the payment of the mortgage. Now there is maintenance and some other operating costs that you might need to consider to put money aside for, but that's cash flow. Now the second one is your appreciation. Most people know these 2. So appreciation is when a property actually is increasing in value or market value and price. So here in Houston, the estimated or projected appreciation for the Houston area over the next year is actually 13.8%. So it is a considerable increase in price. And if you're looking for something outside of stock to invest in, definitely think about putting that money that you have into real estate for sure. Now, the third one people are not as commonly known for or don't commonly know is tax reasons. So you can depreciate the asset. Even though it's appreciating in price, the IRS allows you to estimate that you will actually be, because it's becoming older, it's depreciating. So you can write off a portion of the cost of that home over, I think usually it's 27.5 years. So definitely want to check with your CPA, but that is something that you can also look into. Plus, you can write off all of the property taxes you have on there and your mortgage interest. So definitely it's one of those reasons as well. Now, finally, the 4th one is your amortization or equity. So as you're paying that mortgage with your rent or your tenant's money, then you're paying down that mortgage and you're increasing your equity. So not only that price that you bought it at are you getting the appreciation side of it, but you're also getting the equity. So you're increasing that gap between what is owed on the property and what that property is worth over time. So those are the 4 ways that you can monetarily have gains on a property. Now, the main thing you want to focus on is your goal and determining what your goal is over time. So if you are in a later stage in life, maybe cash flow is really what you're more interested in because you're looking to supplement maybe Social Security or something like that. You want more passive income. So cash flow may be your goal. Or if you're younger and you don't necessarily need the cash flow right now, maybe your long-term goal is wealth and building that wealth and then selling those properties and buying more properties and just reinvesting that money to build out your investment portfolio. So it's important to focus in on what your overall goal is and if it's maybe a combination of both, because the big thing is that there's going to be different locations and different types of properties that will benefit you more for cash flow versus your long-term wealth, such as I have a duplex right now. I'm looking for some cash flow. So I have a duplex. More multiple doors you have tends to provide a higher cash flow. That's not always the case, but I have a duplex and a fourplex that both have a really great amount of cash flow, and then my single family home doesn't have quite as much cash flow. But it does have a lot of appreciation, and so I want to go into that as well. If you choose that you want the long-term wealth, then you're looking for a property that probably has more appreciation over time. So you're going to want to focus in on areas that are being renovated and redone and look like and are in that space of in a transition kind of neighborhood. Now, your cash flow may not be as great because you are likely paying a little bit higher price for that right now, but in the long term, there is a higher appreciation, and so you can sell. So that's why it's important to identify your goals. Now, moving into how to get a loan. So it depends on if you're going to take that loan in your name or in an LLC. And I will talk about limiting your liability through LLCs in just a minute. But if you are taking it in your name, then you are more likely to be able to get a loan for 20% down, a conventional loan, or you may even be able to work with certain lenders that will even pay up to 90% of the purchase price, and you only have to put 10% down. So it's important if you're working in your own name, if you have a W-2 job where you actually are getting a salary and benefits and all of that, then it's going to be helpful on getting the lender to lend to you. Now, on the LLC side, if you're looking to be getting a loan through your LLC, then usually a lender will only lend you up to 75% of the house's value, so or loan to value. So you would need to come up with the other 25% to put down. But to go into why you might think about using a limited liability company is that you don't necessarily have the liability if someone were to slip and fall. They can't come after you and all of your other properties or anything else. So that's when you start putting things into LLCs. So I have 3 or 4 different LLCs for my properties for that reason. So it's important to understand that if you do a rental, it can be great if it's in your name because you can get better rates and you can get better amounts down and that sort of thing. But in the long run, you may want to put it in LLCs because if you're planning on having a wide portfolio, you want to limit that liability. And it's important. I'm not an attorney, so definitely talk to a real estate attorney to really get a wider understanding. But also that can be discussed with your CPA as well, because it can give you more tax write-offs if you're in an LLC. So definitely you want to consult both of those, and I've got recommendations on both of those if you need them. So give me a call on that. Now, going into after that, choosing a realtor. You want a realtor that actually understands the whole gambit of investing and what to look for. And it's not just like, oh, I know that this, or I heard this is a lot of people own rentals in this area, or I heard this is a good area to rent. They actually can do the assessment and tell you, okay, like here's what your mortgage is going to be, here's what it's renting for, here's what the appreciation is going to look like or is projected to be over the next few years in this area, if it's in a transition area. So they're there to actually be able to tell you and guide you and give you advice on where you want to find this property, in addition to negotiating that deal and getting it under contract and everything. So you really want to make sure that your realtor has the experience and the knowledge of investing to actually represent you. And so that's that one. And then finally, I wanted to go into actually making it a passive income. You know, I know you guys don't want to do tenants and toilets. You don't want your tenant calling you all the time and telling you their sob story about why they can't pay, or hey, the toilet clogged up and I can't there's a leak in the roof and stuff like that. So if you don't want to have to handle that, there are property management companies out there that usually charge about 10% per month of your rent, of the monthly rent, to basically manage your property. So if a tenant calls, they're calling the property management company. If there is a leak, they have contractors that they know they can call to get them out there and address it. Now you're still going to pay for the repair, and you're still going to pay for if they need to lease it out. So they do have the ability to lease out properties. So after your realtor helps you find it, if you put it in a property management company, they're going to be the ones that charge you the first month's rent to find you that tenant, to run them through the entire process, the approval process, and what that might be for y'all. And so they're there to make sure that you don't have to do all that. You don't have to listen to all of that. And so your main thing in that case is paying if something were to come up, but you don't have to know all of these contractors. You don't have to be in contact with the tenant. And usually what I would recommend if you're planning on being an investor, I would say about 10 properties is when you want, or 10 doors is probably when you want to start thinking about getting a management company, a property management company. But if you just solely want to do it that way from the beginning, they will still do it that way as well. So that is the main things on what you want to start with whenever you're considering buying real estate or rental properties. And please, if you have any additional questions, or if you want to get started in investing in real estate, please give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. We can start nailing down what your strategy is. And I can't wait to show you what I can do to help you kind of grow your legacy and your empire in real estate. So give me a call, 281-222-8259, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.